I figured it's time. I think we've spoke about working in the mental health field. I don't say it enough because that's like literally what I do with all of the life that you don't see on camera. And I didn't want to make a channel about strictly mental health because that's what I do. Like, I'm a mental health advocate. I train mental health professionals. I restructure treatment facilities to be more successful because mental health is really important to me. I'm passionate about it. But as far as the channel is concerned, we've not talked about it. Now the holidays are coming up, and as someone who's worked in the mental health field, I know that the holidays are tough for a lot of individuals that have mental health diagnosis. I've also received emails lately asking about suicide specifically. So trigger warning, it should have showed up before you clicked on the video. This whole video is going to be talking about suicide. I just wanted to let you in on what we do and maybe a little bit of education about suicide, because we have emails specifically asking questions about that. Suicide is a symptom of a diagnosis. Like, if you get diagnosed, let's say, well, actually, let's just roll it. But yeah, just do a little bit of research. And I love what Kevin says about just mental health in general, that it's one of the only diseases or organ failures, he says. It's one of the only organ failure of the brain that you could be born with and people yell at you for it. Mental health diagnosis has it's brain chemistry, right? So yeah, let me shut up. Let's just watch it.
I got on the next bus. I sat in the very last seat in the middle row. We began to drive out to the Golden Gate Bridge. And that's when it hit me. I realized I didn't want to die at all. I said, well, what are you doing, Kevin? Get off the bus. And so I'm sitting there and I'm crying my eyes out, hoping for one individual on this bus crowded with people to look at me and say, hey kid, are you okay? Hey kid, is something wrong? Can I help you? I was walking up to the bus driver hoping that he would see my pain. But I could not say it overtly. I could not tell him that I was in trouble. I could not make those sounds. And he looked at me. Come on, kid, get off the bus. I gotta go.
There was a guy to my left, said to the fellow next to him while pointing at me with his thumb, what the hell's wrong with that kid, with a smile on his face.
I thought, that's it. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. A wave of emotion overcame me as I stepped down off of this bus. My feet heavy, my heart palpitating, waterfalls flowing out of my eyes. I walked forward. As I stood atop the Golden Gate Bridge walkway, staring and leaning over the 4'0" rail, peering down to the looming waters below. I walked back toward the traffic. I ran as fast as I could, and I threw myself over the rail.
The millisecond that my hands left that rail, instant regret for my actions.
I fell 220 feet, 25 stories at 75 miles an hour in 4 seconds. I prayed on the way, what have I just done? I don't want to die. God, please save me.
My father, on the morning of, he pleaded with me to be with him that day. He pleaded with me to just hang out because he could see something was wrong.
And at 6 in the morning, I entered my dad's room and he looked at me and he goes, Kevin, what's wrong? And I desperately wanted to tell him the truth. And eventually I convinced my dad that morning that I was fine, knowing full well that I was going to the Golden Gate and I was going to die. He turned to me and he said one of his favorite things. Kevin, I love you, be careful.
When you hit, a vacuum sucks you under 70 feet.
My legs were completely immobile. I had shattered my lower vertebrae into shards like glass.
I swam 70 feet with one breath and without the use of my legs. It was the fastest I ever swam because I knew I wanted to live. I break the surface, I'm up and down in the water. I can't stay afloat. I keep going down. My boots are waterlogged. I cannot stay afloat. I'm going to drown.
Praying the entire way, God, please save me. I don't want to die. I made a mistake. I broke the surface. God, please save me. I don't want to die. I made a mistake. Bobbed up and down in the water. God, please save me. I don't want to die. I made a mistake. I can't die here. If I die here, no one will ever know I didn't want to. No one will ever know I knew I made a mistake. And that is when something began to circle beneath me. It was large and very slimy and very alive. And I just was gonna die by a shark bite. It just kept circling faster and faster beneath me. No longer was I wading in the water. I'm lying on top of it, being kept buoyant by this thing. It was bumping me up. I was no longer swimming. I'm lying on my back, being kept afloat by this thing, thinking, when is it gonna bite me? There was no shark, but there was a sea lion. And the people above looking down believed it to be keeping me afloat until the Coast Guard boat arrived behind me. He got the phone call from the hospital, and he calls his secretary, Rachel, and says, Rachel, my son has just jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge. I need you to ride in the passenger seat of the car, because if you don't, I will drive off of a cliff. He wouldn't be able to see straight to get to the hospital. And he walks in to my room. And I'm laying there all, kind of broken and bent. IVs in both arms. I had a tube coming out of my chest. And just waterfalls flow from it. I looked up at my dad. I said, Dad, I'm sorry. And he said, no, Kevin, I'm sorry. And he comes over and he puts his hand on my forehead and he says, Kevin, you are going to be okay, I promise. And I never held words closer to my chest ever before. I just held them. But okay, Dad says I'm gonna be okay. I got this. My dad took me back to the bridge a year later to the date of my anniversary. And we stood at the very light rail that I attempted. We get to the parking lot. I don't want to get out of the car. I don't want to get out of the car. Dad, I can't do this. I can't do this. Kevin, we need this. You have to do this. We need closure. So we walk out to the bridge and he says, show me where. And I showed him the exact light rail like it happened the day before. We hold the flower over the rail. My father grabs my left hand with his right. We say in Our Father. And he says, drop the flower. And I dropped the flower and it wafted down and hit the water and made the tiniest ripple effects. Then 2 feet to the right, popped up a sea lion. And it was arguably the most beautiful moment I've ever had with my dad, besides him being the best man at my wedding. Now I know that no matter what I'm faced with, I will defeat it. I have chronic thoughts of suicide. They plague me. They'll never, ever take me. There's no way I'm going to take my life. I'm always going to ask for help. I travel around the world trying to help people who don't have it all, who don't have that support network. Find reasons to support themselves.
And if one of you is suffering and you're quiet about it, today, tomorrow, the next, ask for help.
Practice never again silencing your pain. Tell the truth about it to someone. You're not alone, and suicide is never the solution to your problems. It is the problem, and you can defeat this pain one day at a time.
I'm 220 feet in the air, and I have somebody trying to get my attention. I keep yelling at him. I say, if you get any closer, that's it. Because all I gotta do is nudge back.
And what happens? Because somebody is 4 or 5 minutes late getting home, they roll down their window as they come by, and they yell out, "Jump, you SOB!" What could I have done different?
I was tired of living this lie. I was tired of lying to everybody. I was exhausted at who I become. I thought about the Golden Gate Bridge. Asked for directions. So I got to the Bay Bridge and I asked them for directions. I said, how do you get to the Golden Gate Bridge? But I was telling myself, okay, whoever I ask, I hope that when I ask them, they'll look me in my face and they'll see something inside of me and ask me, well, why are you going to the bridge? Because part of me on the inside was ready to say why I wanted to go. I mean, I was really looking for a reason to continue to live. I couldn't find anything. And the lady just looked at me in my face and gave me a plain look. She gave me directions. I knew it wasn't gonna be all right no more. Parked my car, left the keys in the ignition, grabbed my prepaid phone, and I got there on that bridge and I started walking. I looked over the railing, saw there was nothing that was going to stop me. I saw there was nothing in water. But when I looked in that water, I just didn't see water, I saw peace. I saw no more nights of crying, I saw no more living a lie, I saw no more being a burden. All the things that I needed in life, I saw in that water. I took a couple steps back, and in a moment as I'm heading towards the railing and about to jump over, I hear a voice. Hey, is everything all right? And in that moment, it was enough of a distraction to where I grabbed the railing and turned myself on this cord. I'm 220 feet in the air, and I have somebody trying to get my attention. I'm upset. I'm yelling back and forth for him. Stay back. I'm trying to keep myself warm. I'm bundled up. So I keep yelling at him. I say, if you get any closer, that's it. Because all I got to do is nudge back. Like, that's all, not even a big nudge, just a small nudge, and that's it. Finally, in my heart starts feeling like, why does he even care? Because he's not yelling at me. He's not making me feel like I'm stupid for being here. Because everything inside of me is like, man, you're stupid. You didn't put yourself in this position. You did not come here to talk. I came here because I was in pain and I was trying to get out of it. But here, after 15 minutes, this voice starts to penetrate me in my soul, and he gets a little closer, and I start to hear him. I never look up, and in that same position on that bridge, with my feet hanging off the cord, and at any moment I could do this and it could be over. And for 92 minutes, this individual, this human, just listened to me. Now, think about that when I say that. For 92 minutes, he sat there, he stood there, and just listened to me.
So after this time, he decided on his own to come back over the rail. And I said, what did I do that helped this situation? All he told me was, you listened. You let me speak and you listened. That's all this guy was looking for, and I think that's what so many people are looking for. Shortly after this incident, I received a letter from Kevin's mother. Dear Mr. Briggs, I adopted Kevin when he was only 6 months old, but you are one of the reasons Kevin is still with us. I truly believe Kevin was crying out for help. We truly thank God for you. Sincerely indebted to you, Narvella Berthia.
It's really good.
We have a choice. Are we going to take the path of none of my business, they should handle it? Are we going to confront them head on and say, hey, I'm seeing these things. What's going on? Let's talk. Listen to understand. That's the key.
I can't honestly believe that with almost 8 billion people on this planet, that people still feel alone. And that's why we all got to come together. 2 ears and 1 heart. That's what saved my life, and that's what all of us in this room possess. Challenge yourself today and in the future to look out for each other. The moment people feel heard, they get healed. The moment. But they have to be heard. Listening can save people's lives, and we all can do it.
I personally have had suicide ideation and suicide attempt in the past due to complex PTSD and other diagnoses, mental health that I've had, that I'm in recovery for now. It comes down to diagnosis based. So there's a lot of misinformation out there, and I'm not going to debate anybody in the comments. You can have your beliefs and I can have mine, but for me, I'm just going to advocate for people to be more educated on mental health.